त्यागेश्वरं रामकृष्णं शारदां मातृरूपिणीं विवेकानन्दमाचार्यं नत्वा वक्ष्यामि शुद्धे योगेन चित्तस्य पदेन वाचां मलं शरीरस्य च भैषजेन योपाकरोत्तं प्रवरं मुनीनां पतञ्जलिं प्राञ्जलिरानतोऽस्मि. We have been discussing the sutra which talks about Heya Hetuhu, the cause of that which is to be avoided or got rid of, that is Heya. And we have seen what is Heya. Heyam Dukkham Anagatam. The future misery is to be avoided, is to be got rid of. And this is the Heya Hetu, what was told in the particular sutra. Drashtra Drishyayoho Sanyogo Heya Hetu. The cause of this Heya, which is Dukkha, is the Sanyoga, coming together of Drashta and Drishya. That was the meaning of the sutra. Now, one thing we have to understand, we have misery, we get misery, we anticipate misery and all that. We try to get rid of it by worldly means, and those means fall short always. Sometimes we do succeed in getting rid of misery, but that getting rid of misery is only temporary. Again misery comes in some other form. So yogi is the one who wants atyantika dukkha nivritti, complete once for all cessation of suffering. And yogi looks at the cause not anywhere outside but within. That is the difference. We find that cause is outside and we try to get rid of it and all that, or get something and free ourselves from misery. But yogi sees not the outside but inside. That is the fundamental difference. The worldly persons, they see the cause outside. Yogi sees it within. That is the difference. And yogi says this coming together of drashta and drishya, that is the cause of the suffering. And we saw what is drashta. Drashta buddhehe pratisamvedi purusha. This buddhi or our mind or antahkarana, it has this samvedanam, it has this knowledge, which is like an echo, so to say, reflection. And that which is the source of this echo, source of this reflection, that is the drashta, or that is the purusha. That is the real nature of the purusha. That which lends its consciousness to the mind, to the antahkarana, that is the drashta. Now, with this sutra onwards, metaphysics and all that will come into play. We'll have to familiarize ourselves with that. According to these Sankhya Yogas and even Vedanta, the mind by itself is not conscious. Antahkarana by itself is not conscious. It is a part of Prakriti, which is, so to say, jada. It doesn't have inherent consciousness. But we are seeing that we know through our mind. So we find that the mind is conscious. That is our prima facie experience. And that is what is referred to here. That this consciousness which we seem to have in the mind is not its own, but it is borrowed. And the lender of that consciousness, so to say, is the Purusha. Buddhehe pratisamvedi. Now in this connection, in last class we discussed that this Purusha, definition of Purusha or Drashta is given by Vyasa. Now Patanjali himself will give definition of Drashta because that is how the sutra literature goes on. So he has introduced these two words, Drashta, Drishya. He will explain what he means by drashya, what he means by drashta, and all that. That will come. Here, Vyasa is, for our understanding, giving us an idea of what is drashta. And in this connection, we discussed that this is a very fundamental question. What is the nature of drashta? What is the nature of this Purusha? And this is question of paramount importance, because if we really realize, truly realize what is the real nature of drashta, that will be the end of spiritual journey. Because whole spiritual life is an attempt to know the real nature of drashta, the real nature of Purusha. So it's an onerous task, so to say, because the rewards are beyond comparison. And whole life may not be enough to get an answer, to a satisfactory and correct answer to this question as to what is the nature of this drashta. Vyasa has given. We also read it. Upanishads tell us, Gita tells us, everywhere there is this discussion. But we will fail, I should admit this, we will fail. We will not get our fingers on it, so to say. Because it is a subject that is extremely subtle and intricate. We will have to keep evolving our idea about this drashta. And our idea will keep evolving till it reaches the truth, till we reach the truth. So there is nothing to wonder if we don't understand exactly what is meant by drashta or Purusha. The reason for this difficulty of knowing, realizing the nature of Atman or drashta or Purusha, whatever called. There are a couple of reasons. One is that our experience, our power to know things, our power to experience things is limited by senses and the mind. We only experience or know what is perceivable by senses. We can see whether something is red or white, tall or short, whatever, sweet or sour. We can know that. These qualities, through these qualities, we can know a thing, so to say. What is its form, what is its shape. Then we infer and all that. Inference is also based on sense perceptions. Or this Sukha Dukkha we understand through our mind. But this drashta or the self or the Purusha, whatever you call it, that is free from all these qualities. It is ashabdam, asparsham, arupam, apayam. It doesn't make any sound, it can't be felt. So it is devoid of all these qualities through which we understand the world. We understand the world only through these qualities, which are presented to us by the senses. And the self is devoid of all these qualities. It is neither sukha as we understand it, nor dukkha as we understand it. So the mind and the senses are incapable of realizing this drashta. And one of the Swamiji says that is the greatest difficulty for all the scriptures and all the teachers. Because in the present condition, what is our source of knowledge? How are we taught? How can we be taught? We can only be taught through senses and the mind. We will hear something, we will read something, we will think with our mind. That is our only source of knowing. And what is to be taught is beyond the scope of this infrastructure of knowing that we have. And that is the greatest difficulty, so to say, for the teachers and for the Shruti. We have certain infrastructure, and the thing to be taught is beyond the scope of that infrastructure of knowing, and the thing to be taught is beyond that. So it is but natural that we will fail in our attempts to know the real nature of the self. The second difficulty in knowing this is we are in the state of sanyoga right now. This drashta and drishya, they have come together in us. And while being within this state of sanyoga, we are trying to know that drashta, which is free from sanyoga. That is another difficulty. While being in a state of sanyoga, conjunction, we try to know our real nature, which is beyond this state of sanyoga. So, locking ourselves in a room, trying to know what is outside the room, something like that. So that is another difficulty. So these are the difficulties which we have to face. These are our limitations, so to say. But even through these, we have to go forward. Because no doubt it cannot be known through this mind, which at present knows only sukha dukkha and all the drives, it is full of all these drives of raga, dvesha, abhinivesha and all that. But Sri Ramakrishna says that this same mind, when it is purified, that same mind has or develops a capacity, or more than develop, manifests a capacity that is there already in every mind. It manifests that capacity to realize the self, this very mind. Manasai vedam aptavyam. Upanishad will say. Upanishad will say it is beyond mind and senses, but then again it will say manasai vedam aptavyam. It is to be known through mind alone. So that is a pure mind. A certain condition has to be met in under which that self can be realized, the drashta can be realized. And Sri Ramakrishna puts that condition. What is that condition? He says vakulata, so intensity. When the mind seeks only the self to the exclusion of everything else, that is the condition in which the self can be realized. Just as for fulfilling or getting the results of a scientific experiment, certain conditions have to be met. Whatever chemical, it has to be boiled at a certain degree. It has to reach a certain state. So also the mind, our mind, has to reach a certain state. In that state, that capacity to know the self, which is already in our mind, that will manifest itself. Sri Ramakrishna gives the example of that person who is held under the water. The way that person pants for breath, when the mind seeks the self to the exclusion of everything else. Bhagavan Bhashyakara will say, Sarvan Kaman Prashthatah Kritva. By turning back on all self-seeking endeavors. When we seek only the self, that is the condition. That's at which this capacity to realize the self will manifest itself. So that is the way to go about it. We know why we cannot so easily realize the self, why all our efforts will fall short. And under what conditions shall we realize it, that is also stated. And another interesting point which one Swami used to make, when we are talking about the self, Atman or Purusha or Drashta or whatever it is, we should realize or remember or try to remember that we are talking about ourselves. Many times we have this tendency to objectify even the Atman, even the Purusha, even the Drashta. But that is our real nature. We are talking about ourselves. And he says that if we are passing by and we hear our name being talked about, somebody is taking our name, we become very alert. What are they talking about? So that kind of curiosity, that kind of alertness should come when we discuss about the self, when we discuss about the Purusha, when we discuss about the Drashta. It is our own real nature. We are talking about ourselves. Shruti is talking about ourselves. So these are the few points we should know when we are trying to understand this nature of drashta. We are trying to know our own real nature. Our efforts will fall short, no doubt. But there is a way, the way is shown. And we take that route, and slowly our ideas about ourselves will get clearer and clearer and purer and nearer to the truth. So that is the drashta. Buddhehe pratisamvedi purusha, that drashta. And drishya is, in English it is called seen. In this context it is the mind, the antahkarana, the senses and the world, everything. Now here also we have to understand our contact with the world is only through the mind. When we say I am seeing a book, I am actually seeing my own mind, having taken the form of the book. So our interaction is only with our own mind. So this whole world, so to say, mounted on the antahkarana. That's the word Bhashyakara used. Chitta arudha. They are mounted on the chitta. The world with the mind. That is the drishya, the scene. And Sanyoga is owning up of these various facets, modifications of the mind by the self. The self or the Purusha owns all these modifications of the mind, modifications of the chitta, and we get the experience, I am seeing, or I am happy, I am miserable. This is the owning, swam bhavati. It becomes one with it, so to say. It's owning up of the chitta by the drashta, by the Purusha. That is the sanyoga. So this is the heya hetu. This owning up of the drashta and of the drishya by the drashta, which is called the sanyoga of the seen and the seer. This is the cause of anagata dukkha, which is the heya. So this is the heya hetu. And as we said, yogi doesn't seek outside causes for suffering. The cause is within. As you said earlier, the Patanjali has to explain, as per the tradition of Sutra literature, what is drashta and what is drishya and all that. So he is getting into the next part, which is he's explained drishya first. The seen, what is seen. And there he says, Pragasha Kriya Sthiti Shilam Bhutendriyatmakam Bhogapavargartham Drishyam. Drishyam is being defined, but three, so to say, adjectives are used. Prakasha Kriya Sthiti Shilam Bhogendriyatmakam Bhoga Apavargartham. Bhoga Apavargartham Drishyam. The meaning is like this. These three words, they tell about the nature or the swarupa, the karya or the effect, and the prayojana or the purport of this drishya. What is the swarupa of this drishya? It is of the form of prakasha, kriya and sthiti. Shilam means nature, swarupa. So it is of the nature of luminosity, prakasha, or activity, or inertia. Prakasha, kriya, sthiti. Luminosity, activity, and inertia. It is of this nature. This is the swarupa of the drishya. Bhutendriyatmakam, this is the karya, the effect. The effect of this drishya or its manifestation is in the form of bhutas, that is the panchabhutas, prithvi, ap, teja, vayu, all that, and the indriyas, the senses, the sense organs. This is the effect, the karya of this drishya. And its prayojana, its purport is bhoga apavarga. Bhoga is experience and apavarga is liberation. So it is meant for the experience and the liberation of the Purusha that we have to add. So this is the prayojana of the drishya, prayojana or the purport of the drishya. So this sutra gives various facets of this drishya. What is its nature? How it manifests itself? What is its product? And what is its purpose? The first part talks about the Swarupa, which is Prakasha, Kriya and Sthiti. Sheelam. This is the nature. Now, here, Vyasa Bhashya, there is one long sentence with very heavy words. There is one concept which is embedded in this sutra. Implicit, so to say. That word is implicit. The word is guna. The first part of this sutra, it is talking of the gunas. Though the word guna is not mentioned by the sutra, Bhashyakara explains it. Prakasha Sheelam Sattva. Sattva guna has the nature of prakasha. Kriya Sheelam Raja. Rajaguna has the nature of activity. And Sthiti Sheelam Tama. The Tamoguna has the quality or the nature of inertia, which opposes both luminosity and activity. So the concept of gunas is brought in this sutra. This concept of guna is there in our Indian philosophy. In almost all the systems of philosophy, concept of gunas is there. Now, guna, the way in common parlance it is understood, or grammatically, if I can say, or from the linguistic standpoint, it has two main meanings. One is rajju, that is the rope, and the other is quality. Quality. So red flower, you can say. So redness becomes the quality, guna of that flower. Good man, goodness becomes the property of that man. So that guna, that is the quality. That is one meaning. The other is rajju, that is rope. Now, Sankhya does not accept this meaning of guna as a quality. It does not accept. Because if it is accepted as a quality, this sattva, rajas, tamas, if these three are accepted as qualities, then you will need a gunin. You will need a substance of which these are the qualities. But there is no such substance in the Sankhyan metaphysics. In the Sankhyan metaphysical scheme of things, there is no substance other than gunas. And hence, gunaha dravyaha. For Sankhyas, gunas are the substance. They are not qualities. They are the substance. They are the building blocks of this entire nature. They are the building blocks of the entire creation. They are not qualities. They are a substance. That is the difference between what we generally understand by guna and the Sankhyan view of the word guna. They accept it as a substance. It can also be accepted as rajju. It has been explained as rajju because these tie the purusha. Like rajju, they tie the purusha, so they can be called rajju. The meaning of rajju, meaning of rope can be given to gunas metaphorically because they tie like a rajju. But they are dravya, they are the substance, the building blocks. And they have their qualities and all that. We'll see next class. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.
Hari